Mike and I are very conscious that we've obviously got the graveyard slot, so we're going to try and keep this fairly short. So, do you want to kick off?
Yeah.
How does this work?
Okay. I think way back in November, I think everybody got an email on the SCOMS mailing list from James Rutherford. He was having a bit of a problem with, it's that kind of perennial problem that we always have with our mathematicians and physicists and what have you about how do we capture what they're doing on the whiteboard. And it was very interesting yesterday to listen to what Daniel was saying, and it just warmed my heart to think, at least there's one person in the whole world that's embracing this, you know, and we'd love everybody to be like Daniel. Every mathematician, every physicist to be like Daniel. That's what we want. But even Daniel's solution is not a complete solution to what we're looking for when it comes to this sort of digital capturing of technical content. So James got a group of us together from various universities to talk about how we take this forward and how we engage with the manufacturers to get them on board with how we take this forward. Because everybody's talking about how we might do this, and people are looking at the technology that's available now and how we can adapt that to be able to capture this writing electronically, so we can get it onto our lecture capture systems, and our students who are in the 400 seated lecture theaters at the back can actually read it. It's a real conundrum for us at the moment. So we sat down and we looked at writing surfaces and teaching spaces, and what's happening is that the manufacturers are using the technology that's available now, and we're not quite sure that that's the right way of doing it, because it doesn't give the whole solution. And what we're trying to get these guys to do is we're trying to get them to think outside the box and think, this is a problem that needs to be solved, and we may not have that technology. It may not be there yet, but let's engage with them. Let's engage with the manufacturers and see if we can get them to think about that technology. Sorry, they have the financial backing. They have the R&D departments that can develop this. So let's engage with them on how we do that. So again, we had our first meeting in November at Birmingham University, and as you can see, these are the universities that were engaged in that table, in that workshop, and again, these were the manufacturers that were engaged with this as well. So I'll hand over to Rob to go through the problem with you.
We'll try.
Try, yeah.
So what we quickly worked out after session one was that actually what it is not a technology problem, but it's a set of conditions that we're trying to work to. So what we actually want to do is to find out what we want to do. Now, if you look on your tables, you've actually got what the original proposal was that we wrote out of that, which unfortunately is a few sides of A4. What we're actually interested in is what we think about for doing something with the capture. All right? So what we've actually seen up to this point, is you can kind of see a list on here. There is another one that's come out very recently from Sony, which looks like an e-reader that you can write on. So they're all starting to think along these lines, but we haven't quite got something that we think we can mass deploy. So, has everyone seen any of these and used any of these in the past? This one's quite interesting. The Pro Slate's quite interesting because that comes with a pen. So they're starting to think that you might be able to do it digitally and capture that as well with a pen type surface. Okay, so you were at session 2. Unfortunately, I couldn't make session 2. Yeah. But do you want to?
Yeah. So at session 2, the briefing that's on your table was sent to all the manufacturers that attended, and they're written down on the bottom of the slide there. And we kind of sat around and discussed that kind of technology. And again, as Rob said, it wasn't the technology that seemed to be the problem. It was what we wanted the technology to do for us that was the problem. Because we couldn't actually define that. We couldn't actually define what that technology should look like. So our little task for you guys today is, you also see a sheet of paper on your desk with a pen. What we'd like to do is we'd like to engage everybody in this, because I think it's everybody's problem. So we'd like to engage everybody in trying to solve this problem with us. And actually, if you can just have a few minutes to quickly read the brief, and then just make some notes on the flip chart paper with the pen that's in front of you. Just make some notes about your thoughts about that brief, and just whatever you think might be appropriate to help us solve that problem. Then we'll collect all those in at the end, and we will put a little report together and send it out on the SCOM's mailing list.
So even if it's a set of conditions, or if it's an observation of what you might like it to be able to do if we were going to capture, even if it's just what you can observe, anything of that would be quite useful. So that the plan is to do a future session on this in a few months' time, based on what we get in terms of feedback. What we're not going to do, though, is to bring in the manufacturers again this time until we've got a clearer idea of what we want it to actually do. All right? So fire away.
Over to you guys. We'll give you 10 minutes. All right, guys. Thanks very much for all of that. Rob and I will come round at the end and pick up your sheets, and then we will put something together for you and send it out on the list. Is that what we are?
Yep.
So I'd just like to say that again, thanks for your effort, and what we'd like to do is appeal to everybody in the room. We're hoping to run our third workshop at Bath University on the 4th of September. And this has been great to have this input, but it would be so much better to have a bit more of your input at that event. If anybody can make it, because what we're feeling at the moment, we're feeling as we're very kind of Midlands South centric. So we don't go any higher than Birmingham, and we're down to sort of, we've got Exeter and we've got Bath in the southwest, and obviously myself and Caroline at London. But if there's anybody from the north who would like to join us and participate in this, we'd be really grateful for your input. And what we'd also like you to do is go out there and talk to your academics. It's all about them, really, and how they teach and how they want to teach, and trying to get the best experience for them and for the students that this is all about, really. And again, it's not about the technology. It's not about how we thinking that we can build something. I don't think that's our job. Our job is to take the necessary how they want to deliver their lectures, and ask the manufacturers to turn that into a technology for us. That's their job, really. So if anybody wants to join us, we'll post the date out on the website. Yeah, as James just said, we're talking about the technology. We actually started that technology talking about with manufacturers about what was available. So we looked at the furniture that was there and available, because we kind of look at this lectern and we think about how do we do that. And the furniture manufacturers were very engaging with us about that. And then we talked to visualizer manufacturers, which is Wolf Vision, and we thought, can we develop something?
Quite a few of us have obviously gone down the line of putting stereo visualizers in, which I know James and I have got, and I know there's a few others. which works to an extent, but most of the academics don't like them in the sense of it's still covering up what they're writing whilst they're talking. So that was an interesting factor to factor in that we hadn't sort of worked out when we first started.
I think it's we need something that if you like is going to replace that whiteboard or that chalkboard, but it's not really going to disenfranchise them in any way. It's going to be able to do what they want to do and how they want to perform. I mean, if that means that we have to do something on that sort of scale, maybe that's what we have to do. But I think it's capturing all of that information is what we're about at the moment. Just capturing that information about what it is that our academics really enjoy about that part of their teaching, so that we're not taking that away. Because I think your solution does go quite a long way to doing that. But that's one example. In an evidence-based research, we haven't got enough evidence. That goes with everybody. Yeah.
I think that you can link what's happening here to the last speaker, actually. And
yeah.
He's gone now. But he hammered home about having that conversation. And the interchange you just had with Daniel has amplified that. And on this table here, we did wonder, and I don't want to read any parade with this because I know it's important, but it's in some ways, if we don't have to do the second bullet point there, I'm not sure it's not for us to actually try and develop that.
It's not.
We don't have that conversation. Otherwise, you're going to end up producing something that is not going to be okay.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely correct.
I think it's more strongly for me there, and I think that was, you've got to really nail that one, because Daniel is obviously, you know.
There were discussions around this table about what the thing should be, and without talking to a customer, I think we identified quite quickly amongst us that it needs to be the following, and this is technology agnostic, whatever you're talking about. It must be simple, it's got to be good value, ideally cheap is good value, but sometimes expensive is good value. It's got to be platform agnostic. It's got to be easy to integrate into whatever everyone already has, and it has to be reliable. Now, that would go for, that's sort of blando spec, but actually, if you can't do that, you might as well go home.
Yeah.
And then we said,
We're getting there, mate.
actually, looking at Daniel, who's all kindly shown us what he's doing, do you think this stuff actually already exists? And I think the answer to that is also yes, because some people prefer tablets, some people prefer visualizers, some people like touchscreens. So what we come up with then is, right, they all need to follow that top standard. And then it's device independent, and actually what we need is almost a defined framework within which it works.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have to say that I, in this instance, was desperately impressed with the software Daniel was using, because to be honest, you can have your visualizer talking to that software.
Yeah.
So maybe the answer isn't stuff, but code.
Yeah. Well, I'm really grateful for everybody's input into this. As I say, we will collate all of this information together and send something out on the mailing list. I'm very conscious that it's now 25 to 1 and you're probably bored with us already. So thanks very much for your input, and we'll keep you all informed about how things are going. Thanks very much.